Welcome into the Thanksgiving edition of the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by COOP Ale Works, and boy, do we have a good one cooking for you today. The Thunder just returned from its 3-game Eastern Conference road trip. Me and Nick are going to break all of that down, and plus we've got something a little special for you later in the pod. But first, this is our last podcast before Thanksgiving, so will there be a hefty serving of Thanksgiving puns? You better believe it.
Hang in there with us, folks.
Let's get right to it. It's a Thunder Basketball Universe. Okay, Nick, the team just got back. We just got back really in the wee early hours this morning from this Eastern Conference road trip the team just played in Atlanta. 3 very different games, but a lot of lessons to take away from those games.
That's right. The results on the scoreboard were not exactly what the Thunder was hoping to come away with on that trip. We should just remind everybody that Dave Bliss was the head coach. That's the lead assistant coach for the Thunder. Stepped into head coaching duties while Mark Daigneault and his wife Ashley are expecting their first child. So that was kind of an interesting wrinkle to the whole trip. He got to coach in his home state of Wisconsin against the Bucks on that very first game.
And then in Atlanta to close it out, where
right.
he, right down the street from where he went to college.
Right, at UGA. So that was kind of the backdrop to the whole trip. And you go up against 3 playoff teams from the Eastern Conference from last year, including the Atlanta Hawks, who went to the Eastern Conference Finals, against the Milwaukee Bucks, who you started the trip with. So it was just, there was a lot going on there, and the Thunder was competitive in all 3 of those games, but didn't come away with any wins.
Let's get into You Can Say That again, because I think we'll be able to talk about those games specifically. Thunder just mounted huge comebacks in those first 2 games, wasn't able to quite pull off the win, but a lot of lessons and a lot of takeaways, and some of these guys got some really good opportunities out there on the floor. So without further ado, let's dive in to You Can Say That again.
All right, so my quote is, I said, "Gid, that was a great pass." And he said, "Yeah, it was."
I love this quote so much. And I remember the moment it happened. That's Mike Muscala talking about Josh Giddey.
That's right. So this was in Milwaukee, and Josh had kind of spun in the lane and made this incredible one-handed pass to Jeremiah Robinson Earl in the corner. It was a part of this great comeback that the Thunder had made in the second half. I think they were down 20 to the defending champions, and they got there to within like a possession. It was like 5 straight minutes in crunch time of it just being a 1-possession ball game, and neither team could really quite get a bucket. And that was a big time play that Josh made. And it kind of goes to show, like, the sincerity of Mike Muscala to, in a timeout kind of just be pulling Josh aside. I mean, this is a late game crunch time pass that Josh Giddey made to the corner, big time 3. And Josh just, being a 19-year-old rookie and sort of the matter-of-factness and a little bit of that, swagger,
some
arrogance,
yeah.
Not arrogance, but, swagger and confidence. And, just like, yeah, it was.
Well, it's because he's made those passes even before he got to the NBA. That was kind of his bread and butter in the NBL, was his passing ability and his vision to see the floor. How many times have we just looked up and been like, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a great pass.
The one-handed lefty whip passes, the number of passes that he throws on the move while he's on the dribble, not even picking the ball up. It's just like a continuation of a dribble that he tosses with one hand is incredible. And it's why he's in the top 25 in the entire NBA in assists. He's the league's leader among rookies in assists per game, nearly 6 per game. And, he ended the road trip as the lead ball handler with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander out, and he racked up 8 assists and 3 turnovers. So thrust into those duties for the very first time against a high-level Eastern Conference team, and he came away doing a really nice job.
I love what his teammates, when they talk about him, they love playing with him because, and Ty Jerome comes to mind with this mentality, is when Ty Jerome steps onto the floor with Josh Giddey, he knows that he will most likely get a shot. Because
got to get those hands ready.
Got to have those hands ready, because he knows Josh is going to find him if he's open. And the same goes for everybody that's out there on the floor with them. They know they need to be vigilant and have their head on a swivel when Josh is there, because he has this ability to kind of catch opponents off guard, which means sometimes the teammates can get caught off guard a little bit too. So Josh's teammates know that they need to keep an eye on the ball whenever it's in his hands.
Yeah, he's really continuing to emerge. He's learning more. I mean, that's one of the things when you talk to him, he definitely is not feel like he has arrived, and the coaching staff, the organization doesn't feel that way either. Like, he's got plenty more room to grow as a scorer, as a shooter, as a playmaker. He's seeing a lot of these passes and trying to squeeze them into angles. He kind of admits, like, yeah, sometimes I throw some crazy passes and like am extra aggressive. That's good. The Thunder's going to live with some turnovers if they're getting the ball movement and that action that they want. Josh is a big catalyst for that. As he moves on into his career and he reads more defenses and he sees how the NBA is played on the defensive end of the floor, some of those miscues will turn into either better executed passes or more patience to work the offense more.
And the second half of that Atlanta game was a big lesson for Josh in that area. And the Thunder shot out to a blistering hot start in that first half, scored up the most points they've ever scored this season in that first half, 60 points. And it was because the ball was moving. The pace of play was super, super quick. And this was without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So the Thunder knew that they needed to get the ball moving, and it had to be a collective unit getting things done offensively. Josh really helped spark that, got the ball moving. In the second half, the Thunder's offense started to stall a little bit. And Josh said after the game, the ball just got a little sticky. And some of that is on me, too. I held the ball a little much. And we dribbled a lot. And we didn't really stick to what we were doing well in the first half that got us all of those points and all of those opportunities. So there are lessons to be learned, like you're saying, from Josh. And the more he gets this time on the floor, the more that he, gets these opportunities to be primary ball handler, the more he's going to learn.
Yeah, and it was kind of the flip side issue in Boston, where the Thunder's offense really could not get anything good or easy in the first half. The ball stuck a lot. It kind of hung on the perimeter. Second half, the Thunder did a much better job. Again, staged a big-time comeback rally and forced the Celtics to put their starters back in with like 15 seconds to go.
That was great.
But it was like the offense was just humming at a better pace, different clip. And it was the same type of action that we saw at the beginning of the Atlanta game when the Thunder assisted on 6 of their first 8 baskets.
I love it. All right. Should we go to the second one?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is I'm not even gonna let you guess because you were there, and I just think Dave Bliss was in the holiday spirit in Boston. He said, "Get your forks and knives ready because if you put something on their plate, they're gonna eat." I improvised that first part. He just said, if you put something on their plate, they're going to eat.
I can't believe that I didn't come up with a quote that had somehow was tied into food. That is my fault, folks. I apologize deeply.
Wow.
But yeah, great quote. The Thunder coaching staff really been wonderful on the metaphors and the similes and everything this year.
They're great.
They're crushing it.
It's almost like they know that we're going to do this segment. And so they just like keep throwing these out here once a week at least. And there have been a lot. And Coach Bliss really picking up where Mark Dagnall left off in terms of these one-liners that stick with you. But in this quote, he was referring to the Thunder second unit. And this was after the Boston game. And the Thunder second unit put up 37 points, I believe, against Boston. And then against Milwaukee, 47.
Right.
And then another 40 in Atlanta.
Right.
And so the second unit really just had a great showing on the road. And this quote by Dave Bliss, he was really referring to the fact that there are no wasted possessions, just like a clean Thanksgiving plate. There's nothing left. And he was saying if you put an opportunity, if you put minutes, if you put, time on the floor in front of these guys, they're going to take advantage of it. They're going to gobble it right up.
One thing that he harkened back to was the time when Shai was out last year at the end of the season, and that there were no wasted reps during that time. And it's why we've seen the emergence of players like Lou Dort and Darius Baisley and some of these other youngsters that got a lot of minutes. We've seen Poku be more efficient, more assertive in the mid-range. Like, there are all sorts of guys that are on this roster that if they had not taken those minutes as seriously as they did at the end of last season, even though when sometimes the scoreboard was lopsided, they were in it mentally and emotionally and physically. And that's what Dave Bliss is talking about. Like, no matter what position these guys are thrust into, they're accepting the challenge and they're accepting that responsibility.
Okay, so there were a lot of guys that stepped up in the second unit throughout this road trip. One guy in particular I want to point out is Ty Jerome, because he scored in double digits in all 3 of those games. Mike Muscala only played in 2 of those 3 games, but he was also a big factor, had really efficient minutes. And those 2 in particular have really, I think they've been feeding off of each other, and Ty feeding off of Mike's ability to come in and be super, super efficient with his minutes. Ty's in a role this season where, his minute, he doesn't really, there's no really telling what his minutes are going to look like from night to night. And he said that he wants to work on and emphasize for himself being efficient and making the most of the minutes that he does get. And I think this 3-game road trip was an indicator of what he's capable of. Ty is just ready to go. We've heard that from so many of his teammates. Ty is ready. He's a winner. He knows how to play. He's got a high basketball IQ. And when you combine those things with how hard he works in practice and, on his own time, you get these really efficient numbers like we're seeing when he steps in onto the floor.
Right. And, he has a great model to look at on how to be efficient in short minutes.
Yes.
Because when you're thrust into a situation coming off a bench where you're playing 10 minutes and you've got to try to go 2 for 3, or you've got to try to just be within the flow, a spark. That's like, I think we've mentioned this before, that's like jumping onto a treadmill that's already moving. And like, you have to be able to catch the speed and the rhythm of the game immediately as soon as you step onto the floor, because the other guys that are already out there, the starters that you're trying to play against, they've got a lather worked up. They're already ready to go. And that's why in the NBA, you typically see guys that are like great, role players coming off the bench are 8, 9, 10-year veterans. It's why Mike Muscala is so great in this role this season. He's been a top 5 3-point shooter in the entire NBA. Ty Jerome, despite his relative youth, you can see him like emerging and have some of those, like he's a little bit ahead of the curve just being a point guard and having the pedigree that he has in like understanding how to affect games that way. And you can see him continuing to make strides in that direction. And you think about the Thunder second unit between him, Kenrich, and Mike Muscala.
Yep.
Can you think of 3 more like reliable guys that you know exactly what you're going to get from them when they step on the floor?
And that's why Mark Dagnall committed to having Kenrich and Mike Muscala come off the bench, because he knew that those are some constants that I can always count on. Those are variables that aren't really going to change. I know that if I bring them into the game, they're going to bring that same energy, same effort. They are consistent and they are reliable. That is something that you, like, as a coach, I would love to have that peace of mind knowing that I've got those weapons on the bench. And now you've got a guy like Ty Jerome who's starting to show that consistency as well. One other thing I did want to point out is in the Thunder's first 2 games on the road against Milwaukee and Boston, it was the second unit that came in and provided that boost and helped shift the momentum, because the Thunder was down 20 plus points in both of those games. And it was in the second half when that second unit started to come in and really shift the momentum in their favor. Now, this isn't new for the Thunder. The second unit has always been reliable. The second unit always comes in and brings a spark. But on the road, enemy territory, 5 games in 7 nights, it's going to take everybody on the floor to overcome a 20-point deficit against an Eastern Conference, playoff contending team. And that second unit did just that with a different looking second unit than than it was at the very beginning of the season. Right. Aaron Wiggins was in that lineup for this Thunder team in this 3-game road trip. And then you have, Jeremiah Robinson Earl came off the bench in one of those games too. So a lot of different lineups, but the same consistent effort.
Well, you led me to the point that I was about to make a little bit earlier, which is when you have the support system of Ty, Kenrich, Mike Muscala, you can weave in young players who are still trying to find themselves, like Poku and Isaiah Roby, who has not played very many minutes, but he gave some really impactful minutes on this road trip. You mentioned Aaron Wiggins. He's just beginning to scratch the surface of what it's like to play in the NBA. I mean, there's a handful of guys, and when Trey Mann or Vit Krejci sometime down the line, Teo Maledon gets back in the rotation at some point, like, these guys to be able to weave in naturally and have a support system of veteran players who exactly where they're going to be and what they're going to do, that is so helpful to these young guys that are still learning themselves.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get into Name That Dude.
All right.
There were some really impressive stat lines over this road trip. Nick Gallo, I'll let you go first.
Okay. This player went 9 for 24 on 3-pointers over the 3-game road trip. That is not like sensational, otherworldly 3-point shooting, but it's a high volume, and it's about 38%, which is a major jump up from this player's season average from the 3-point line so far this season, and I think I'd say it's more of what we could probably expect from this player moving forward from behind the arc.
If we're talking 3-point shooting, I'm going to go with Lou Dort.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yes. So
Lou shot the ball really well.
And he shot it a lot, and he's taking a lot of threes. And there's a stat that doesn't pertain to like this recent stretch of games necessarily that I wanted to squeeze in here. So that's why I used that kind of shoehorned in.
All right.
Lou Dort on a streak of 31 straight games with at least one three-pointer made, 8 straight games with 2 or more three-pointers made. Those 2 streaks are top 10 in the NBA currently. And the 31 straight games, that's the 4th longest current streak in the NBA. The only guys that are ahead of him are Stephen Curry, Duncan Robinson, and Mike Conley.
I love how at the beginning of the season, we were breaking down Lou's ability to finish at the rim.
Yeah.
And how he worked and improved on that. And now we're back to talking about his three-point shooting. And I think when you start to see how Lou is forming his offensive game and how he's growing and improving in kind of different facets offensively, we're starting to see how he can impact the game on multiple levels on that end of the floor. Teams know that Lou, he came out of the gate strong, finishing. I mean, he had 3-and-1 opportunities in one game. That's going to show up on opponent teams' film sessions, right? So they know that they need to, give him space to make sure that he doesn't get to the rim because he's finishing really well. Okay, if they make that adjustment, he's back to being able to knock it down from the three-point line. It just opens up so many opportunities when you have this ability to get into the paint, be effective at the rim, and then also knock it down from behind the arc. It goes back to the same conversation we had with Lou in terms of his offense and his defense. It's about eliminating dilemmas.
Right.
That's all it's about. And so now he has options. He can do what the defense is giving him, and that puts the Thunder in a really good position.
The Thunder's talked about this with Josh Giddey as well, as like if you're a player in this league that you have a very high floor, it's very easy to keep you on the court, right. And so with Lou, when you're eliminating like weaknesses left and right, the way that he has over the course of his very young career, you're just turning this guy into an even more potent and like multifaceted weapon, And so I think your point is exactly spot on. It is a completely symbiotic relationship between his three-point shooting and his driving game. And the better he's at one, the better he's going to be at the other, because defenses are going to be in a complete bind. He's learned how to attack closeouts. He's learned how to get that rainbow three-pointer up over everybody else. And, he's learned how to just gobble up those drives and get to the rim.
Oh, you love to see it. You love to see it. And I do want to go back to that stat and just think about the consistency for Lou. Because while he was able to finish at the rim, that doesn't mean that his three-point shooting fell off, right? That doesn't mean that he completely stopped shooting them. And he did have shooting nights where the ball just it was like one of something, And so the fact that he was able to stick with it, remain consistent, keep shooting the ball, that speaks to Lou's confidence. That confidence has not gone anywhere. That has always been there from literally day one with the OKC Blue Lou Dort. That confidence has always been there. And so that's paying off here now that he is, getting all of these minutes and all of these opportunities. With the shots not falling at the rate that you want it to, you still got to keep shooting them.
It's just, Thunder fans should get some smelling salts or something to realize that Lou Dort's in the same sentence as Steph Curry, Duncan Robinson, and Mike Conley when it comes to a three-point shooting streak. That is so incredible to think less than 2.5 years ago when he came into the program, where he was as a shooter. And look, Lou was a prolific scorer when he was at Arizona State and when he was a recruit. This is not to knock him and say that he wasn't talented in those regards, but he has just refined his game and refined his shooting so much. And, one of the quotes that was a contender for me was, shooting is all about reps. And that was what Lou Dort said last night to us.
All about reps. And he's gotten he works so hard.
Yes.
And he is one of those guys. He's a blue collar worker. He goes in, he gets his work done, puts his head down, blinders on. Just, I know what I need to work on and I'm going to get better at it. And we're seeing that pay off right now.
Blinders on, just like me at the Thanksgiving table.
Eyes on the food.
Focused.
Okay, time for my name that dude. And this stat sheet is stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not going to end, guys. This is a whole podcast.
Yeah, it's continuing. So
okay, here's my stat line.
Don't think you're going to get a break.
Here's my stat line. Okay, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, 1 assist.
I
looked.
I poured over the stat sheet last night, just
because it's his
post game,
job or
right?
whatever.
Yeah. So this is Jeremiah.
Yes, it is.
And this is just really cool to see him be this productive all across the board, especially on a night when he was playing power forward, which he hasn't always played this season.
I wanted to bring Jeremiah up because he has been put in so many different positions since he joined the Thunder in Summer League. Just different sort of situations. He's the starting 5. Okay, now he's the 4. Is he guarding a 3 right now? And
guarding James Harden.
Doing a really good job. He had a possession on Trae Young in Atlanta, and we're starting to see how he is just soaking it all up and really adding to his game and adding to his mental catalog. He came off the bench in Boston.
Yeah.
He wasn't starting. Derek Favors went into the starting lineup in that game, and still he scored double digits off the bench for the Thunder in that game. The biggest thing for any rookie is consistency, right? And being able to bring something to the table regardless of what situation or scenario you're in. We're seeing that sort of poise with Josh Giddey. We're seeing that sort of poise with Aaron Wiggins and Trey Mann when they go to the blue, making the most of that opportunity. And we're seeing it with Jeremiah Robinson Earl, regardless of if he's the starting 5, if he's the backup 5, if he's the starting power forward, or if he's matched up with James Harden. He seems to be bringing the lessons from his previous experiences to the table when he needs it.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned this about Jerry before, but like it feels like just this might not be 100% like how he actually operates. I can't get inside his mind, but it feels like he does his thinking before the game, and then when he's on the floor, he's just in the moment and reacting. And as a competitor, that's like one of the most key things, is just you're not out there wondering and thinking and second guessing and being uncertain. Like that's what gets you killed out there on the floor.
And for a rookie to do that, that is incredibly difficult.
So for him to be as prepared as he is, and to have looked over what he did the previous game, be able to think about it, internalize it, be told it one time, is what Mark Daigneault has told us, is it really doesn't take many reminders for him to figure out what he needs to do the next time. And he's able to just go out and do it. And you know, he has this look at this guy that's just like, I will execute this. Like I'm just going to do my job. Like he is I'm going to do my job guy.
You want to talk about reliable, and I think for a rookie, Jeremiah Robinson Earl is a reliable guy, because if you tell him something like you're mentioning, he's going to soak it in, it's going to register, and he's not going to make that same mistake twice.
Right.
That's not to say that there won't be mistakes down the road and that there won't be some up and downs for him. He's had stretches where he just hasn't been able to shoot the ball well. And he's had really good stretches like he did in Milwaukee, where he was able to knock the ball down at a pretty decent clip. And so there's going to be these ups and downs. But what you can count on is the fact that with every opportunity, it's a step forward.
Right.
With every game, it's a step forward. And so you start to look over this long trajectory of an 82-game NBA season, and the Jeremiah Robinson Earl that we saw in Summer League, it's going to look a lot different than the Jeremiah Robinson Earl at the end of the season.
Well, and how about moving forward as you're team building here in Oklahoma City? You got a guy at the 32nd pick of the draft. So that's a second round pick. Just, from financial standpoint and roster construction standpoint, to have a guy that's this mature at age 20 years old, when you project down in the future, when Shea is going to be 25, when Josh is going to be 21, I mean, 2 or 3 years out, to have a player that is this reliable, that you can throw into a starting lineup, you can throw him in as a bench player. I mean, regardless of what other talent comes onto the roster over the next couple 2-3 years, Jeremiah Robinson Earl can play with a lot of different players. He is so versatile. We've seen that already so far. In addition to the versatility, he's actually productive too. That's a huge thing in the NBA, is there's a lot of people that are billed as versatile, but it's hard to get that versatility into the game in a productive way. JRE has been able to do both.
And one more thing I want to point out about Jeremiah Robinson Earl. He's undersized as a 5-man. If he's out there as the starting center, he's probably giving up some size on his opponent. But he has remained consistent in being able to be effective on the glass.
Yeah.
I asked him about this. I was just very curious how much of that was, strategy and, analyzing the situation, maybe finding some different angles, versus just straight up will and competitiveness and fight. And I think it's more the latter than the former.
Yeah. Derek Favors backed that up too.
He sure did.
Yeah.
And this goes for really the entire Thunder roster, because the other thing is that the Thunder leads the league in rebounds.
Yeah.
And it's not just Derek Favors and Mike Muscala going in there and gobbling up all the boards. No, it's Josh Giddey, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, Darius Baisley, Shea getting in there, averaging 5 rebounds a night.
Right, 5 guys averaging 5 or more rebounds. It's one of just a handful of teams.
Yeah, and it takes guys who, regardless of their size and regardless of, their strength or what they may be giving up to their opponent, just, consistency of I'm going in there.
Right.
And I'm not scared to mix it up. It's fearlessness, and it's just will and competitiveness. Jeremiah is showing that on the boards too. All right. That's all for Name That Dude. We're going to take a short break right here, and we'll be right back after this.
COOP Ale Works is the proud sponsor of Thunder Basketball Universe. Brewers of the fan favorites F5 IPA and 99-calorie Ice Chest IPA. You'll find those and many more COOP beers at retailers across Oklahoma. Learn more at CoopAleWorks.com.
Welcome back. As you can tell, we have a new member joining us on the TBU crew today, and that is rookie Aaron Wiggins. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. I know you just got back from this 3-game road trip. I know you're probably a little tired, but got some work in clearly today. For sure. How are you feeling? How you doing?
Feeling good. Happy to be able to come back in here and, kind of get some more work in. The 3-game road trip was, fun to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I think we grew a lot and we learned a lot from, the last couple games, but I'm excited to be back in here and keep working. So
getting used to that NBA schedule of
for sure.
Hopping off a plane at 1 a.m.
No joke.
Being right back in
and
the
being
building.
right back in here the next morning for sure. I mean, it's what I wanted, so I'm excited to be a part of it. So
the grind never stops, and now you're home for 2 games.
Yeah.
And it's Thanksgiving week. So we're in the spirit. We are head first, knee deep in this turkey theme today. So we've got a quick game for you. It's called the Starting 5.
Okay.
We're going to throw 5 rapid fire questions at you. And of course, we had to make it Thanksgiving themed. All right. So we're going to get started. We're going to alternate questions here. You good to go?
Yeah.
All right. I'll go first. First. First question. Light meat or dark meat?
Dark meat.
Same here.
Unpopular opinion.
Nope. 2-1.
We're going to go to the next one.
All right. Do you pronounce it pecan or pecan?
Pecan.
Wow. I was not expecting that
I wasn't expecting that either.
Never say pecan.
We might have to circle back to that one.
Okay.
Apple pie or sweet potato pie?
Apple pie.
Great answer.
For sure.
Great answer.
I would go apple pie too. That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right. Do you call it dressing or stuffing?
Stuffing.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. I feel like it's an older generation that calls it dressing, maybe. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Okay. This one is actually an interesting question. Last one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer the canned jellied cranberry sauce or the whole cranberry sauce?
I'll catch you off guard. No cranberry sauce.
No cranberry sauce?
No.
Wow.
Neither. I've never been one to put it on my plate. I just don't. I've tried it a couple times.
Oh my goodness.
It's just not for me.
If it doesn't have the lines from the can, I don't want it.
Yeah, same
Really?
here.
That's me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's normally what
like
my family
Jello.
will put on the table.
Okay,
whatever
all
the
right.
ones with the lines, but I don't.
That's a
touch it.
staple
I
in the
don't even
Wiggins
touch it.
household.
I don't even see it. Yeah, it is.
But not
is.
for Aaron
Everyone
Wiggins.
loves it. Everyone loves it except for me.
Okay.
So what's been holding you back? Is it just like
I don't know.
Scary? It doesn't seem like the right thing to add onto the plate.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just doesn't kind of fit on my plate with the mac and cheese and the ham and like everything else that's on there. So I just never added up there.
Okay, Rick, take us through like a traditional Aaron Wiggins Thanksgiving plate.
A whole plate?
Give us like a ratio. What are you working with here?
All right. So love the ham. The ham, gotta have mac and cheese.
Okay.
Greens or green beans, sometimes both. Just put it all on there. I gotta have a little bit of turkey. Always have turkey.
So you prefer ham over turkey?
Yes.
Oh,
100%.
that's interesting.
100%.
Okay, all right.
Now I'm trying to think. What else do I do? Sheesh, ham. I don't know. I had something on the tip of my tongue. Mashed potatoes. Yeah, I'll go mashed potatoes.
Gravy on everything. Gravy on the mashed potatoes.
Just the mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Sometimes no gravy, because sometimes mashed potatoes,
wow.
you don't even need anything on it.
Yeah.
You and Nick Gallo are the
We're on the
birds
same
of a
page, for
feather
sure,
right
for
here.
sure.
North Carolina, like
Yeah.
that's just how it goes.
Okay.
For sure. But I mean those are the main things on the plate for sure, without a doubt. I'm trying to think if there's anything else significant that I'm missing out on.
So who in the Wiggins household was doing like the majority of the cooking, or how was that divided? Because you have a big family.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So in my family, we actually do this thing. We go to my dad's side of the family for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And this year, my dad and my family, they're hosting it in Greensboro. But we'll normally go to like Raleigh. Sometimes it's all over the place. And his whole side of the family will come together, and we go there for Thanksgiving. And then for Christmas, we go to my mom's side. My mom's side will come to our house or something. But everybody does a little bit of everything. You know, it's like bring your dish.
It's like a
you know?
potluck sort of situation.
So they'll bring their mac and cheese, they'll bring chicken, turkey, ham, all of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, you just kind of dig in.
So is there like one of the dishes? Sounds like maybe the mac and cheese.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
there was like
without
a
a
race to it was like
Without
a
a
race
doubt.
to the counter. To
Without
like,
a doubt. If you're not in line to get that mac and
Yeah.
cheese early, you're gonna miss out. You're gonna miss
You're
out
not
for sure.
getting it.
Because it goes out fast. Like it's done. It's done.
Yeah.
Don't
Oh,
even think
I'm missing
about
one.
seconds.
For my plate.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big sweet potato guy. Like,
No yams.
so I don't know, but that's the difference. Yams. So there's yams with like marshmallow and it's like
Yeah.
cooked up and
Oh,
everything.
yeah. Okay.
I love that. But like the plain sweet potato and it's just like, not really
See,
dressed up or anything. I
yeah.
can't do
that
it.
was
I'm
also an
with that
honorable
too.
mention for the
Yeah.
starting five was like yams or
Yeah.
sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
So I don't differentiate.
I do.
Wow.
It's
That's
significant. It's a
interesting.
huge difference between the both.
Wow.
I can do
Okay.
yams
We're
for sure.
learning a lot here
sure,
today.
for sure.
I love
Without
it.
a doubt.
I'm feeling a lot of solidarity with Aaron.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I am
for
feeling
sure,
a
for
little
sure.
outed. I'm not gonna lie. That's okay.
No
But
doubt.
I'm not from North Carolina.
So
Right.
you're
Right.
one massive state over.
One
Tennessee.
massive state
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
So I do want to circle back to this lifestyle of being in the NBA.
Mhm.
Obviously, you guys play the day before. You
Right.
play the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What's that gonna look like for you?
I mean, it's going to be a hassle, but it's going to be fun. The teammates, we're all really grateful and thankful to be with one another. To have to spend the holidays together, not just Thanksgiving, but like Christmas will be around each other and stuff. So I mean, we're really grateful to have the opportunity we all have,
Mhm.
and it's going to be a fun experience and time of it all. Playing the day before, doing the thing you love, being with one another. The day before, having Thanksgiving, and then the day after you're right back at it again. So I mean, it'll definitely be something that it'll be an experience, but it'll be fun. Growing up, you have Thanksgiving tournaments, you do a bunch
Right.
of different
Right.
stuff. So it's nothing that's like I've never experienced before, but
Right.
it'll be fun, just at a different level, and the pace and everything. So get into it.
I
So.
know in my experience when I knew that I played the day after,
Yeah.
I did not go hard
Oh,
on the
yeah.
food.
That's the thing. Yeah, you play the day before, and then it's like Thanksgiving. You want to eat.
You
but
want
it's
to
like,
go. You want like
you're gonna be
3
stuffed the next
helpings.
day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little nervous doing that.
So when you were in Maryland and you had like games around Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
would you find a way to be able to like sneak back to North Carolina? Would your family come like follow you up to
Yeah.
wherever you happen to be? How would that work?
Normally, my family would come up. They'd
Okay.
come to whether we had a tournament or a game or anything. They normally come up. At Maryland, the coaching staff and everybody, they did a great job of just making sure that we had a like if we were on the road, they'd have a huge Thanksgiving dinner or something. And if your family wasn't here, you're still with the team. The team's family was all invited and stuff. So for the most part, it was always like I'd be able to still have that experience and be with family. And even if it wasn't like my immediate family, I had the guys. The
Right.
guys kind of
Mhm.
become part of the family. So that's how it'll be this year. Being in Oklahoma with a great group of guys and everything, the coaching staff and everything. I'm sure. I'll be with some of the teammates on Thanksgiving even. So
Yeah.
it'll still be fun.
I know you're still. I mean, it's been a few months, so you've gotten to know the guys pretty
Yeah,
well. But
yeah.
like, who would you trust at this point to like be leading the Thanksgiving dinner?
I don't know. It'd be one of the bets for sure. Like Mike,
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
or Derek. Honestly,
Yeah.
None of the young guys. I don't know if I could necessarily trust them with all of that. But definitely Mike. I could see him, hosting a good Thanksgiving dinner or something.
Yeah. Like a guy might be a point guard on the court, but he might not be a point guard.
Yeah,
in the kitchen.
I don't
Exactly.
know how he'll be in the kitchen for sure. Might be a little iffy.
But like you as a rookie, and it seems like all 4 of you guys as rookies
Mm-hmm.
have really, gotten acclimated well
Yeah.
with this group. It
Mhm.
seems like it's a really close-knit group. One thing that we hear a lot is that there's just like no egos on this team and
Yeah.
guys just get along. Just what's that been like for you as a rookie trying to get, acclimated with not
Yeah.
just the team, but the NBA too?
Yeah, I mean it's been huge. I think I speak for more than just myself, just the other rookies as well. Just coming into an environment where you want to get acclimated, you want to get a little bit of experience, you want to kind of get used to what the NBA lifestyle and the games and the schedule is like. But having guys who are all open and like, there's nobody who's like who has a huge ego or just self-centered or anything. Everybody's just willing to help, willing to assist, and kind of help every single person take each step one day at a time, and just kind of grow into it all. So I mean, it's been huge just as a learning experience. Not only, I don't think only for me, I think I could speak for the other rookies, but even for me, just kind of knowing what I have to do to be successful at this level, kind of getting used to the rigid schedule, the back-to-back games and all those things. It's a huge difference from college. So it's definitely been huge being a part of a group that is willing to help, willing to assist, and nobody's just like all about themselves or just worried about their own. So it's been huge.
You also have each gotten the opportunity to like get some extended minutes too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
for 4 rookies, that's not always possible in
For
the
sure,
NBA.
for
Like,
sure.
Yeah.
How cool has that been to just like each of you have kind of gotten your turns
Yeah.
to play with the Blue, to play with the Thunder,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
get extended run.
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. I mean, we've all talked to one another about it all, just kind of the experience, from playing with the Blue, me and Trey, we've talked about how certain things can translate, the things that we see on the court, even in between timeouts, we'll go to one another and we'll just ask, like, what do you see out there? What are some things that, you think you could bring to the table when you sub in or something? And I mean, it's been huge, just being able to kind of get that early experience. Because I mean, if you look at a lot of other rookies, it's guys who were drafted really early, who have a lot of talent, who aren't getting that opportunity. So for us to kind of be able to step in, get a little bit of experience, those extended minutes, it's been huge. It's fun. So
You want to talk about getting experience? Your first NBA debut was
Yeah.
against Brooklyn.
Yeah.
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 I just want to know what was going through your mind as you're
Yeah.
checking in, knowing that this is going to be your first time in an
Right,
NBA
right.
jersey on an NBA floor.
So the day of, I was kind of like just thinking like, it's crazy. Like my first game is going to be against like, the greats, some
Yeah.
of those guys who have really, established themselves and are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers,
Mhm.
one day. So, I was thinking about that. I'm just like, man, it's like crazy that I'm in this position. Once the game started, I didn't feel anything. I stepped
Yeah.
out onto the court and I was just ready to go. I was just ready to play, do everything that, was asked of and whatever my team needed. And, I just had fun out there, being able to, go up against, the Kevin Durant, James
Mhm.
Harden, those guys. It's a blessing. It's an experience that, you're going to remember. My first points were against them. So it's
Yeah.
like,
That's
it's
awesome.
something that you'll remember for the rest of your life. But at the same time, I mean, it's another basketball game. So
Yeah.
I was comfortable out there, felt great, had fun.
What I was really impressed by is you didn't get caught on a rip move.
Yeah,
You didn't get
yeah.
caught on like the
That
the chicken wing,
those
like,
are huge emphasis for me. Don't fall for any of their tricks.
As I was watching you check into the game, my first thought was like, if I was Aaron, I'd just play with my hands behind my
Literally,
back the whole
literally. Oh
You're
my
not going to
goodness.
see my palms at all.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, with some of the rule
Yeah.
changes with the referees
Sure,
and stuff,
yeah.
there's only so much that guys can get away with. But even still, those guys are going to get those calls. So it's like, I had to really make sure I was playing smart and not giving them an opportunity to draw any type of fouls or anything.
But the one thing we've noticed is like you're trying to play smart, but it doesn't seem like you're thinking out there.
Yeah.
Like it seems
Yeah.
like pretty like I kind of think it like you do your thinking before the game,
Right.
And then once you're out there, it's instinctual.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of it, like you said, it's instinctual. Once I'm out there, it's just about, playing within the flow of the game, kind of having fun. That's one thing that a lot of guys kind of forget to do when you're playing basketball, have fun. That's what made you play the sport. So I'm out there just having fun, going with the flow, and, just doing whatever it is that my team, expects of me or needs of me to do for, our team to, come out with a win and everything. So definitely not thinking. If you think, that's when you start to mess up and you start
Right.
to make mistakes. So you don't want to overthink anything. You want to go out there and just play within your game.
One of my favorite quotes after that Brooklyn game was Coach Dagnall, and he
Mhm.
said, we don't get better lifting 10-pound weights. And
Right.
he was referring to like, if we want to see how Aaron does against James Harden, let's
Right.
put him against James Harden and
Yeah,
see how
yeah,
he does.
for sure.
You've gotten a lot of different experiences, Brooklyn, Boston, Milwaukee.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
some really, really high level talent.
Serious, yeah.
Since the start of this season, I'm not even going to include just like your NBA games, but
Mhm.
like Blue Summer League.
Yeah.
How have you felt yourself grow?
I mean, I feel like I've grown in huge, kind of steps. I think just from like training camp, I remember the first day of training camp, I'm kind of out there on the court with, our guys, and I'm like a deer in headlights. There's a lot going on. They're putting in different sets. There's a lot of defensive, things that are, being taught and everything. And we're, all of the rookies, I think we're just out there like, just trying to get a feel for it. Like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
this one. And so, from that point, consistently doing those things, being repetitive with, those little schemes and strategies and, and practice and in games, and then being able to put it to test, going in game, getting that experience and kind of, putting them, in the light.
Yeah.
It's been something that, I feel like I've grown a lot in, just kind of getting used to the pace, the style of play that we want to play, the way that we guard defensively, our offensive sets, all of that. There's so much that I feel like, I've just kind of like grown and matured in, both on the court and then scheduling, being, using your time correctly off the court, getting the proper treatment and, taking care of your body and everything. So even off the court, I feel like I've matured and kind of, just grown into, the mindset of, a professional. So I'm really, happy with, where I've come since training camp for sure.
It seems like they've really immersed you and not like put you in a box or held you back from things. And one thing I've been thinking about with you is just like with every rookie, there's so much like leading up to the draft and like where do you get picked and what number you get picked and whatever. But one thing that just in my experience with the Thunder that it seems like they do really well is like once that day is over, you're coming in blank slate. It doesn't matter where any of that happened.
Right.
All 17 guys treated the exact same way, and like where you got drafted doesn't matter. It's like the sweat equity that you put in after that.
Right.
Do you have any examples of like times so far that you've really felt like where I get drafted doesn't matter. The fact that I'm a 2A doesn't matter. Like I'm exactly on the same plane as the 17 guys.
I mean, like you said, it's a lot, being, putting your name in the draft, going through it all, doing all the team workouts and stuff. And, the night of the draft, not knowing where you're going to be. But then after the draft, I'm like, okay, I'm going to OKC. And literally that night, Coach Dagnall and Sam, they called me and they're like, we're happy to have you, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, I'm excited to be a part of the organization and everything. Then I get here and everything's, it's just like you're a part of our team. Like you've been here, it's like they're treating me the exact same way that they'll treat anybody else. And that's one thing that kind of stood out about the organization, not only for me, but like even to my family. They're like, geez, like you're going to love it there. Like it's going to be awesome. And I'm like, yeah, like everybody's, open. Everybody kind of like is willing to like, help, and like they treat each other with respect. They have the same, mindset and approach towards everything. So, and like you said, after the draft, it's just about sweat, putting in the work, getting better, learning, and, kind of, getting that experience. So, I mean, I've had meetings with Coach Dagnall, individual meetings with him and film. Nothing's going to be easy. You're at the professional level. You're going to get called out in film. You're going to have these, days in practice where you're not playing the way that you should be. You're not doing the things you should be. You're going to get called out. You're going to be held accountable. But it's a part of the process. It's a part of growing. It's a part of getting better. And, I mean, it's not just me he's going to call out. He's going to call out Shea. He's going to call out all of those guys. He's going to call out, Derek Favors, the guys, the vets who have been in the league. So, I mean, it's been amazing just seeing that, everybody's treated the same. Everybody's, given the same respect, the same, treatment and everything. So it's amazing to be a part of.
Just kind of in the same vein, in terms of off the floor, I'm always curious for rookies what it's like. You've moved to a completely different state, city, part of the country.
Yeah.
You're used to North Carolina and Maryland. Just what has this been like for you, just getting acclimated to Oklahoma City?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really.
I know it's tough. I mean, games every other day and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough, but at the same time, us as a rookie class, I think we all kind of had the same thing. Josh is coming from Australia.
Another country.
And then Jeremiah was at Villanova. Trey was in Florida. So all of us are coming from just different parts of the world even. And so us as a rookie class as four, we're all kind of getting acclimated. So I think that in itself kind of brought us together. We're a tight-knit group of guys. I think we kind of, we express our thoughts and feelings about, the things that, the changes that we've made and stuff. And I think that that's something that's kind of helped just with getting acclimated not only to, the NBA lifestyle, but, moving from where we previously were and moving from families and stuff and kind of, being in Oklahoma, just us being, kind of tight and talking to each other about everything and, just growing, with our class. So I think that's been something that's, been really fun to be a part of. And then the guys, we do things outside of the Thunder games and practices and things. And I mean, it's been cool to just, talk to the guys, hear about their, experiences, the things that they suggest, you could do in the city, outside of basketball, outside of practice and stuff. So, I mean, it's been awesome, just kind of be a part of for sure.
And you guys got to do that all team turkey giveaway. That was your first taste of like seeing the community face to face as a rookie.
For sure. I mean, it was awesome too, just seeing those the people kind of drive through and get their turkeys and everything. It was awesome being able to kind of give back and see how happy people were to get things for Thanksgiving, but also see the Thunder, the faces of some of the guys who play for the Thunder. It's awesome to kind of just be a part of that whole thing. So
seemed like you guys had fun too.
For sure.
Darius out there on
Darius
the drum.
he's hilarious, dude. He actually looked pretty good. He actually sounded good out
I
there.
was gonna say you have some musical talent too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do nothing like that.
I mean, but if anybody would be able to discern, good music, I feel like it'd be.
You've got an ear for it.
Yeah, you got an ear for it.
He actually sounded really good. I was
He
really
did.
surprised, and then he even threw some dance moves in there while he was playing. So he's hilarious.
One thing about being in Oklahoma City that you all have a sort of a different competitive advantage than most other teams that are or guys that are on two ways. Like, you have to go 10 minutes to go to the other practice facility, to the blue practice facility.
Yeah.
You go to the same locker room when you play for the OKC Blue.
Right.
There's some teams, I think Miami's G League team is in South Dakota or something like that. I mean, like that's really far away, and like when there's a decision to be made about whether you're going to go play for the Blue or play for the Thunder, it's not nearly as complicated as it would be in other situations.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's special. I mean, just knowing that the other practice facility is 10 minutes from here, and like, we play on the same court. We're in the same locker room as, the Thunder. I mean, it's crazy because I know people who are on two ways, and their practice facility is an hour away from the city that they stay in. They're, they don't play in the same gym.
Right.
And, there's teams who don't have a G League team, and they're on a two-way, and they're sent to another team. So it's a blessing, to kind of, even be in this two-way where, you can learn here. And it's like everything you're doing, it's the same thing being taught. You're being watched by the same people. You're going to play on the same court. You're going to be in the same locker room. Everything is just so close-knit. And like no matter what it is you're doing, you're being watched. And you got the opportunity to really, get acclimated and get that experience and get used to what it is and what's expected of you. So it's definitely a blessing, just being, so, oriented, with both teams and everybody being so close knit for sure.
And you guys started the training camp in that blue practice facility, and you got to learn about all of the history in that gym.
Yeah.
I mean, just going back from 2008, and then even recently, a guy like Lou Dort and his story, just being able to be in that facility and knowing the history. How much does that just kind of like, play a factor for you?
Yeah, I mean, it plays a huge factor. It kind of just sets the tone for me. It kind of sets, just it's like a setting stone for everything. With training camp, having been there, you get a feel of, not only, where we're going to start, where we're going to begin as a team this year, but the history of the Thunder organization as a whole. Like, this is where they started. This is where the practice started. The blood, sweat, and tears was put into, the blue facility, like into that gym. So, being there, it's more than just, being in the right now, living in the present, but, kind of, absorbing and taking in, the history and the guys who have come before you and kind of set the stone and the foundation for, you to be here today. So, I mean, it's been huge. And then with guys like Lou Dort, guys who I'm playing with, being able to kind of learn and hear, from him, talk to him, and, just continue to grow every single day in those little things. It's been huge, and I'm grateful for it also.
Lou said that very early on in training camp, like he kind of wanted to like put his arm around your shoulder, so to speak, and like, this is a potential pathway for you. He believes in you as a guy. Just on a couple things, like, do you have any specific memories of some times, especially early on, where like he really tried to help you out? And also, like, what does it mean to have a guy play a similar position in a similar, like, that's not competition.
Right.
That's my brother that I want to help get to my level.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, especially watching Lou today. You've seen the way he's been playing.
Absolutely.
Like, he's been incredible. So watching him today and kind of seeing that he was in the position that I was in like 2-3 years ago, not even. So, kind of just seeing that and seeing, look, like you can really take advantage of the opportunity you have and get better and really be in a great position in a year or two. It's been huge for me. Early in training camp, we've had a lot of, different talks, and he's kind of given me little advice here and there. And then even in the little bit of experience that I've gotten in the past couple games, you can see it on court. He'll come to me and he'll say certain things to me. He'll kind of, just give me any type of thought he has, on something that I can do better, something that, I'm doing well. And I'll go to him and I'll ask him, like, what should I have done? What do you think about this and that? And, he's been great, just kind of, like I said, seeing the way he's playing now, seeing the way that he's grown in his time, from where he was when he was once in this position. I just kind of don't take it for granted, take advantage of it, pick his brain, see where and he's not even like a serious vet. He's only been in the league like 2-3 years. So it's like, crazy? It's like, even still, like, he has a lot more room to grow and stuff to kind of, but like, he's still being really successful right now. So it's like, you got to take advantage of it. You can't take it for granted. You really can, like, learn something from the steps that he's kind of been through.
I want to go to this past 3-game road trip for you. You were part of that second unit. You guys have the second unit was just monstrous over that 3-game road trip, helping to bring you guys back from 20 points down. Didn't get the win, but like still massive effort. Just what was it like for you being a part of that sort of kind of momentum shift that second unit?
Yeah, it's huge. You have to have that toughness. You have to have that kind of like that grit, that mentality, regardless of who you're going up against. We went up against the Bucks. They won the whole thing last year. So when we go in, we're all young. We're all kind of trying to get our foot in the door and set a stone for us to be, great players in the league. So, we're hungry. We're going out there and we're going to compete. And regardless of what the score is, we could be down 30. We're looking at it like it's 0-0. We're going to come out there and we're going to play, possession for possession, and we're going to take every possession. And there's a lot of importance behind each possession. So, it was huge being a part of it, just seeing, what it takes. Even being in the second unit, it takes a lot to, be able to compete, regardless of who you're going up against. And, I thought that we as a team grew a lot over the last 3 games, both on the court, off the court. I thought we saw a lot of strides and the potential that we have in front of us.
One thing that's really cool about that second unit is you've got Mike Muscala, Kenrich Williams, who are kind of like staples, and Ty Jerome is really sort of coming into his own. He's such a heady player that he feels like even more of a veteran than his age.
Literally,
is. And it like sometimes it reminds me. I remember when Kendrick Perkins was here. Sometimes he would literally push a young guy to be in the right position on defense, physically push him. Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes having those guys on the floor with you, it almost like sets some boundaries for you of like knowing, okay, here's where I need to be. Here's how I need to like do these things.
Without a doubt. I definitely feel like there are certain things that a lot of guys are much more comfortable doing, positions that they're comfortable being in, and, being with a group of guys who know their role, who, know what they do best, and who will run to those specific spots, not only defensively, offensively. It kind of just gives me an idea of where I should be. Where should I be in this position? If Ty Jerome's driving to the basket, where would he expect me to be? So there are a lot of different things, as good of a shooter as Mike Muscala is, I don't want to be in his way if he's setting a screen and he's about to pop. So it's like, should I cut? Should I move out of his way? And it's like, without a doubt, get out of his way. So knowing, you're with a group of guys who kind of have that experience, who know what they're good at, who have a really good feel of the game and everything, it definitely makes it a lot easier for me. And I can even speak for the other rookies. I'm sure, they definitely are able to say, like, it helps with, us knowing where we should be, the positions we should be in, where we should be defensively and help and everything. So, you also go with the flow because there's going to be things that you don't expect, but you got to be ready to go. So, it definitely helps when you're with a group of guys who kind of know, their niche. So
Mark talks about those guys as having like defined games, and part of your process is like exploration.
Yeah.
Like what is my game, and what will it end up becoming defined as? What's that feeling like for you? Is like I'm gonna do some stuff out there. I'm gonna try different things. I'm gonna see like what I'm all about out there.
Yeah, it's still a process. You're figuring it all out. Just getting started and everything. But it's definitely an exploration. I'm trying to figure out where I belong, how I'm comfortable. How I could help the team best. Where what it is that I could be doing that helps the team best. And you bring it every single day defensively. That's the one thing that like you have to do every single day. But then offensively, that's where you kind of really got to find that groove and get, that feeling of, what could I bring to the table that could best help the team. And, I'm definitely still exploring, trying to figure it all out and get a feel for it. But with the experience and, the time out there, you definitely get, the opportunity to kind of feel it out more and get a feel for it. So
I know Paris's favorite move that you're trying out.
Oh, it's a spin move.
The swim move?
Yeah.
Hands down.
She loves
Signature.
it.
That's a signature move.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
Selfishly, it's an easy transition into talking about your dancing history.
Okay,
so
okay.
that's I'm gonna be transparent there.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't know that she's putting that out there on like that, did you?
jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We
not a
talked about it
problem.
at your rookie draft night, so it's like, it's out
no
there.
problem. It is.
It's out there.
We
But
just have to brag on you a little bit.
Yeah.
For how,
It's
like,
perfectly fine.
multi-talented you are.
multifaceted,
Yeah.
versatile in more ways than one.
Right.
There you go.
Oh my goodness! It wasn't by decision. It wasn't by choice. I was young and I had no
But it
choice.
clearly paid off.
But it's paid off for
There
sure,
you go.
100%. And I've been grateful for it all.
And I
me
never
to be in a
brought
position.
this up, but I had a very similar experience. I had to choose between dance and basketball
Really?
growing up.
Really?
Yes, and I preach that dance helps your rhythm,
It
your
does.
footwork, your timing,
balance,
all of that stuff.
Yeah,
See, I'm
yeah.
I'm on your side, Aaron. I
Without a
promise.
doubt.
I promise.
Without a
I'm
doubt.
on your side here.
No doubt.
Okay, one last thing before we let you go. Obviously, you guys got back from this 3-game road trip.
Mhm.
A lot of lessons you mentioned. Take us inside this Thunder mentality. What are some of the biggest takeaways from these past 3 games?
You have a chance every game. I mean, regardless of what the score is, the time and score doesn't really matter until the last 2 minutes of the game, truthfully. But you have a chance. You got an opportunity every game to win. You have to have the same mentality. And you have to have the same readiness to go out there and compete every single game. Those would be 2 of the biggest takeaways that I took. Just the mindset going into every game. You have to be ready to attack the other team. As Coach Mark says, he says you got to fight the bully. You got to be ready to go out there, and regardless of who it is you're going up against, you got to have the mindset that you're going to hit first. You're going to attack first, and you're going to kind of set the tone of the game. And regardless of what the score is, you still have a chance. We were down 20 early in the second half, maybe against the Celtics, but we cut it to 4-6 with like 1:50 left. So it's like, regardless, you have a chance, and you got to be ready to play, and you got to know, you have to execute plays down the stretch to win games. So those would be 2 of the biggest takeaways, going into every game with the same mindset and, being ready to play, and then knowing that you have a chance every time you step on the floor.
You guys have the 3rd best defensive rating in the 4th quarter out of any team this season. So the mantra is like, y'all better not take your starters out.
Seriously,
Yeah.
seriously. I mean, it's a lot. It's crazy because, I mean, the way that we guard, I think we have, defensively, the way that we guard and the way that we, kind of hold each other accountable and we trust one another to be in the right spots defensively, it's huge. And I mean, it'll pay off sooner than later. I definitely think.
And you've gotten some experience now in that second half,
for sure.
playing deep into that second half in the
For
4th
sure.
quarter,
For sure.
that late run that you guys are making.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
know you've got some experience and some lessons in that area now too.
No doubt. I mean, it definitely makes me a lot more comfortable being in there and knowing that, I'm with guys who are going to help me be in the right position, and, we're going to help our team get in the best position to win games. So it's definitely been great.
Sorry, I got to ask you one more thing.
What's up?
So in that Milwaukee and in the Boston game, we saw a lineup that we had not seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
You, Lou, and Kenrich on the floor at the
That's
same
right.
time.
Oh, yeah.
If I was bringing the ball up the court,
Gotta be nervous. Yeah. Get rid of it.
I'm
my-
gonna throw it in
Yeah.
the 3rd row, so at
Yeah.
least it's not a live ball.
I
turnover.
literally think
Yeah.
about it sometimes. I'm like, am I out here with Lou right now? Like me and Lou are guarding the 1 and the 2 right now.
Right.
Like this is gonna be
It's a
fun.
wrap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're switching
Yeah.
everything and we're guarding everything.
Yeah.
It's fun to kind of have that mindset and to think about it. It's fun being out there with those guys.
It was just so cool to see like the coaching staff and the organization show that trust in you to
Yeah.
send you deep into
Yeah.
into those games and to, hey, you're gonna go be in there with that lineup,
Yeah.
go make stuff happen, and also shows the development of a guy like Lou to be running point guard in
Right.
those units.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and then even for I'm sure for Lou, being able to run point guard, for me, getting that experience out there, it kind of puts confidence in us. We can do that. They believe in us to kind of step in and be ready to play, to run plays and to guard defensively. It definitely even instills confidence in us to go out there and do what we do with a little bit, at a higher level even. So definitely grateful for it all.
Well, I can speak for me and Gallo. It's been really fun watching you grow and take
Thank you,
advantage
thank
of these opportunities
For
on the
sure.
floor. We look forward
Yeah.
to seeing more of that throughout the season.
Thank you. I look forward to growing and continuing to learn. So having fun out there.
It's just amazing to think like this is just the scratch of the surface for your
Only
NBA
6
career.
games in for Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
cool.
That's awesome. Well,
crazy.
in the spirit of Thanksgiving, we are very grateful
Thank
for you
you.
joining our podcast
Yeah,
crew.
thanks.
We have a saying here. The first time you're a guest, the
Mm-hmm.
second time you are a certified friend of the pod. So
Okay.
you're
We'll
a
have to
friend of
get
the
you-
pod.
I'm a
from
friend of
now
the
on.
pod now?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yes.
That's
So
awesome.
welcome to the TBU
Thank you. Thank you for
universe.
having me. Yeah, thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be right back. Before we let you go, we gotta let you know what's on tap for the Thunder. And after the team came back from its 3-game Eastern Conference road trip, they now have a nice homestand with 2 games, one in front of Thanksgiving and one right after.
That's right.
So they've got Thanksgiving to eat some food.
That's right. Wednesday is Utah at
Mhm.
home. This will be really cool to see the Thunder go up against the opponent that they faced in the very first game of the season. Both teams
Yep.
obviously going to be very different than how they were. And then on Friday, OKC gets a nice crack at a team that's a surprise squad in the Eastern Conference, the Washington Wizards. Really nice opportunity to just test themselves against, again, one of these teams that has been playing at a really high level. And we will not have a Thanksgiving podcast for you. We will be at home with our families instead of with you all, unfortunately. But we will talk to you on the flip side of next weekend, so early next week.
And on that note, we do want to say that we are very, very thankful in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Thankful for you and all of our subscribers, everybody for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will catch you next week after Thanksgiving for our next podcast. But until then, be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to tune in on YouTube as well. Thank you so much to our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.